YouTube Ozic going the Go Downs is back. Ranking offensive linemen for the NFL draft. Got tackles and interior offensive linemen in this video. I have a playlist on the channel with a bunch of position rankings and more of those to come. Got to get to defense next. Recent mock draft up as well. Let's get started with my number one tackle. That is Joe Alt from Notre Dame. Pretty much everyone's number one tackle in the class. I feel like he's a rare type of prospect, with that freakish size, length, quickness. He's an athlete, not the craziest athlete in the world, but he has power. And he's hasn't been playing the position for that long. Obviously was a defensive end and a tight end in high school, and Notre Dame moved him to tackle, and it's worked out very well. Has been the highest graded tackle the last couple of years in all of college football. So, at the same time, him being the best on tape for plug and play right now, he also has the most upside because quite a few of these guys haven't been playing the position super long, but because of that, and just a freakish guy that you want to work with, I think he'll fit any scheme. And I guess you do worry about outside zone because he could be a little bit better out in space on those next level blocks, but he's still learning. He's very quick. I think he's athletic for his size, but I think he can go to any blocking scheme and have success. I think kind of coming with his height, it seems like guys can get leverage on him, especially when they're pretty good at rushing low, and they gain that leverage or they're playing too low. So I guess that could be the issue for him. It could be a little bit better if he goes to more of a zone blocking team. He could get a little bit better tracking guys down at that next level and getting successful blocks on them. But it's a rare type of prospect with absurd upside. Usually those guys with crazy upside, there's one that we're going to talk about, like Amarius Mims. Like, he doesn't have a whole lot on tape right now. He's good, but doesn't have a whole lot on tape. He has crazy upside, but there's a bunch of buts. Like, what if? But he hasn't played this much, It's a rare situation where he has crazy upside, but we already know he's the best prospect today for the NFL out of this group, and it's a good group. So that's where he's a little rare. Number 2, I have J.C. Latham. My number 2 and number 3 are pretty close. I do like my number. They're a lot different. I do like my number 3 a lot. I notice fans really aren't high on J.C. Latham. I think it's because the Alabama thing. Like, the offensive tackles from Alabama recently haven't really worked out. But I turned on the tape, and I liked him more than I thought I was going to like him. I think he's very, very solid. Once was a right guard. I think worst case he goes back there, but I like him at tackle so much. I see him at tackle. He has the size, the length, the power, and he's not the craziest athlete, not even close, but I think he moves not just well for his size, but I think and some. I think he moves extremely well laterally, mirroring guys, pass rushers. And once he's on someone, like once he's latched on, no one's shedding him. No one's shedding him off him. So there's quite a few power blockers at the tackle position. I think he's the best one. I mean, Alt's a total package, but I think this is the most powerful one. But I think some quick speed rushers could get him. I'd actually think more so rushing inside. I think he kind of, with the speed guys, he kind of just tries so hard to get on the outside because he has to do a little extra work. I think he does a good job at it, though. And they kind of go from the inside, but he's pretty good at sealing them off. His footwork is really good to me. I guess there's some issues with like awareness, picking up blitzes, stunts. That I can see. I think there's smarter tackles out there, but this is a gifted offensive lineman with extreme power. I think he's super underrated with his footwork and his quickness. I love the footwork for especially for a guy that size. So that comparing him and Fashanu, I think he moves quicker. I think he moves faster. I think he moves smoother. I watched the tape on both. We'll see who ends up better. But when I watch tape on both those guys, there's no doubt in my mind who moves smoother and faster, and that is JC, not CJ, JC Latham. But yeah, a little bit bigger body, not the most athletic guy. So could he get beaten? Because of that. I heard the league's a little higher on him than most people, like fans, media, are out there. So I like Latham. I wouldn't surprise me if he went in the top 10, even though he's not mocked there a ton. I do like Troy Fautanu a lot from Washington. And Washington, that offense they had a star quarterback, they had star receivers, but it started with that offensive line, and their tackles were the stars of that group. Keeping Penix super clean, super protected. And then he was rushed a little bit in the Michigan game, but that was more so from the right side. Fautanu's fun. He's quick, very smooth. Saw it on tape, saw it at the combine how fast he moved, and his stock started to go up. But I watched tape on him before the combine, luckily, and I kind of saw that coming. Just such a smooth, athletic mover. And there was some takes out there that he's maybe lacking a little bit of length. I don't think he is. 34, whatever inch arms are plenty for me. What I really like is I think he's pretty scheme versatile. I've seen him block in different schemes at Washington, and he looked good across the board. But they didn't run a ton of outside zone, which is used a lot in the NFL. We're getting stretching, getting the running backs outside, and then once they get upfield, offensive linemen get downfield, start blocking at that next level. He has the movement skills, and he showed it too on tape to be able to do that more. So if he goes to one of those schemes, I feel like he has even the upside goes from here to here. Like he can learn something that he might be a natural at because of his skill set. So I love that. Thinking about that makes me want to put him at tackle too. A lot different than J.C. Latham. But yeah, very impressive overall. A lot of people think he could be a guard. I could see that. Like you watch him playing, like, all right, this guy probably can be an insane guard. But I like him so much at tackle. Sometimes he'll be in position to, seal off a defender, and then he'll just go for like a physical lunge, like block, like just I don't know. He wants to power up, and it's random out of nowhere, and he'll kind of whiff or lunge, and sometimes the hand placement's a little off, and he kind of slips off the defender a little bit. So that actually pops up a bit when you see that. It's like, I love this guy, but that's a little rough because it did pop up a little bit more than just like here and there. And then another reason to pass on him. Some teams may go, I like this guy. If we need a tackle really bad, I like this guy as a true tackle a little bit more. I think Fautanu might be a guard, so maybe they pass on him. Just curious to see where he ends up because he might end up being, depends on where he ends up because he could be a guard, could be a tackle, depending on who takes him. Number 4, I got Taliese Fuaga from Oregon State, who had a stellar year at right tackle for them. I think overall balance. Like, is he really lacking anything when it comes to how we evaluate offensive linemen? Like, there's really isn't. We wish he was a little bit more lengthy, but in terms of on the field, like, is there anything that he does poorly? Not really. So I think it's kind of a safer pick. The only kind of knock on him, he's not super lengthy, but I thought he was a little inconsistent. Like the first game I turned on, I was like, holy cow, how are we not talking about him and as a legit elite prospect? Like, is he the best? Is he better than Joe Alt? And there's another tape where I'm like good, but not nearly the same as the other. I haven't heard anybody else say that, so I might be alone on that, but so it's a little inconsistent when it comes to the tape. But I think from snap to snap throughout a whole game, he's pretty consistent. It's not going to be different throughout a single game, if that makes sense. But I think where people get excited about him, where you should get excited about him, is on those next level blocks in the outside zone, which you see a lot of in the NFL, and a lot of the best blockers in the NFL. That's where they stand out. That's where you can make like a highlight tape from guys like that when they get downfield. And they're blocking, they block multiple guys or they blew somebody up. And he does that all the time. And it's fun. It's fun to watch. So, he might be the best in terms of the outside zone and the next level blocks. So, and this draft is full of inside zone and gap blockers too. So he's kind of a different one. Usually there's more of this type. So it's a little different from the rest, but very smooth. I just, again, love the way how flashy he is attacking downfield. So he comes in at number 4 and should be somewhat of an early first. So that's got some good offensive linemen here. At number 5, I'm going to go with one of the upside guys here. I'm going to go Amarius Mims from Georgia. I mean, Georgia keeps getting the best of the best talent too. Really good size here, young, and just more reps. Like he hasn't been able to get the chance to get more reps because the talent they have there, and he's young, and he had an injury, so I guess that's a negative. It's a negative, limited reps, but so it's tough to fully, you wish it was more on tape. It's tough to go yes, that, it's consistent, saw a ton of it. We don't really have that, but with more reps, this guy could be what he's supposed to be, very special. He has the traits, the ultimate traits you look for with an offensive lineman. That size, length, power, athleticism. He's a pretty damn good athlete for that size and his power. He's not a crazy athlete, but for pretty damn good for that size. So that is the guy everybody, this is the prototype that everyone wants to work with. It just will he pan out? I thought in his reps that he played, I thought he looked pretty solid. I think it just takes more reps. One of the negatives, I thought the timing could be a little better. Like if he has to pull or he has to get downfield, he's a little late. Running back's already getting by or he's getting in the running back's way. So you don't love that, but I think that's the matter of reps and just getting used to going with the flow of the whole team. To me, that's what it is. So it's just an ultimate upside guy. It's the guy you want to work with, and it's one thing and Broderick Jones I think he's a similar style player. I like Broderick Jones' upside in a different scheme, like more outside zone, because he flashed, and those reps that Georgia ran was a little bit limited. I don't know if Mims is that guy, that type of blocker. So they're different in terms of what type of blocker or block scheme they can go to, but they're the same in terms of limited experience, but you can see the flashy plays. I think I actually like, it's tough actually. I think Mims was a little more consistent in his reps than Broderick Jones, but Broderick Jones on some of those outside zone reps was outstanding, and that's where we saw like the fit, where he ended up with the Steelers, and it works out very well there. Or it worked out when he down the stretch where he was finally playing and getting better. But yeah, there's a lot to like about Mims. And then before we get to the interior offensive lineman, here's my next group of tackles. Yeah, I mean, as you probably already known if you've been watching our videos, Fashanu, I'm not nearly as high on him as everyone else. I'll put him at tackle 6, take a shot at him. I would late first, but he's going to go earlier than that. You do like the idea of him, like the size, the build. Still has a ton of upside. He played pretty well in 2022. He played all right last year as well. He didn't give up any sacks, but I thought he lost some reps that you really won't show up on stats like that. Or whoever comes up with whoever measures those stats, keeps track of them. I just don't love the way he moves right now. I think it could be fixed. But he's a slow mover when I watch. I don't know how, not too many people not really talking about that, but pretty slow mover. The technique needs to be brushed up a little bit. I don't want to say he waddles, but he's kind of like it's scooting along a little bit and really using his body to get over in the correct spots. Penn State, a lot of dinking and dunking on that offense, dumping it off to the tight ends. It seemed like quite a bit. People calling for them to throw the ball downfield, but they had their game plan. So, I worry about him with the NFL, like the freaky speed guys in the NFL, and the Big Ten didn't really have the pass rushers that we're used to them having, not even close. The technique, the movement technique, and the speed of the movement, I think needs to be fixed. I think this is more of a raw prospect than people are talking about, and I see that instantly when I turn on the tape. Tyler Guyton's an upside guy. Oklahoma has that a little bit different of a scheme than, compared to the NFL. So maybe a little bit of adjustment could sit right away. But you like the idea of him, the size and the athletic ability. Again, not a freaky athlete, but you combine his size, his length, and he's kind of like another Mims, like the ideal combination of all those traits. So another guy that just needs more reps. I wish there was more reps to go off of. Wish there was more like some of the reps that would translate to the NFL. So he's a little tricky, but you do love the upside. Then Jordan Morgan's tricky, but I got him at 8, and he's probably, some people are talking about first round. I wouldn't take him in the first round, just mainly because he's tricky, because he played pretty damn well at tackle. He's definitely a better pass protector than run blocker, in my opinion. USC game was really good. Not the best defense there, but the issue why he's tricky is because the length is lacking. He has the length of, for sure, shouldn't play NFL tackle, should play guard, but where his strengths and weaknesses are, which our strengths are, he's very quick. He's an athletic, quick-footed pass protector. Where he struggles is with the power in mainly, blocking the run or the power rushers. So if you put him at guard where his length belongs, he's gonna deal with more powerful guys, especially in the run game. So to me, and he's always played tackle, so to me, he's a tackle, but he's just lacking the length, so it's a little tough. Kingsley Suamataia from BYU, I thought he had a really solid year. He played right 2 years ago, left tackle last year. Like the size, length. I love how he moves as well, so I think he's an early second-round pick. And then tough decision between 10. A lot of guys we can put there. I'll go Blake Fisher. I mean, Notre Dame knows what they're doing with the offensive lineman. Obviously, powerful right tackle. I think he's underrated in terms of athletic ability. I feel like he should be further along than he is. Like he'll have some plays where he gets a little off balance or he whiffs. But it's a guy you want to work with for sure, because I think there's a pretty good combination of everything with him. And the idea of him is like he can be a lot better. So I'll go with him at 10. Could find himself in the second or third round, but there's quite a few other ones that are pretty solid. It's a pretty deep class, but there's a lot of tricky ones, like a lot of little risky with some of these picks down here. Where the top 4 are pretty much sure things in my opinion. My number 1 interior offensive lineman, it's really tough to split up between. We'll talk about some other guys as well, but I'm going to go Graham Barton, who actually played left tackle at Duke, but is lacking length. But he plays tackle at a high level. But again, lacking length very much. So in the way his play style, the way he plays, you could definitely see like he can be a good guard. There's already a lot of talk about him playing center. So maybe chances are he plays center, but maybe why I want to rank him ahead of JPJ. Like that's the thing, because JPJ I think is a better center, and he did play right tackle in the past, but Barton, like if he has to play tackle, I'm fine with it. If he has to play guard, I'm great with it. So he can help you pretty much at any spot, and he's good. He's really good. He's really fun to watch. But again, I think he can be a versatile piece for you. So very smooth mover. He's really good at the downfield blocks. I think he's pretty scheme versatile as well. Don't see him for one specific scheme. He can handle all of the above, so I do like that about him. Will need to change positions. Again, he did play left tackle, so it's never really the greatest thing, but I think he has upside on the interior. I think a lot of teams think that as well. Doesn't have like the crazy length you look for, or not even near crazy length. I think the powerful, and he's going to move into inside. We already established that, and I think it's pretty obvious. But I think those powerful, like the strong guys on the inside, they might be a little too strong for him right away. So I would like. He's a strong guy, but I would like for him to get a little stronger, because some of the stronger pass rushers, give him a little bit of trouble. So that could be the issue. But I think he could help you at any position, really. So that's the tricky part. Because Powers Johnson, if it's center versus center, he might be a better center. And again, he's versatile as well. I just don't see him playing tackle at the next level, where he played 2 years ago at right tackle. But he looked like he could be a guard watching him just in one-on-ones in the Senior Bowl, but it means something. I guess the versatility we're expecting from Barton maybe slightly gives him the edge. Always the question is how early you take a center, because sometimes you just find a guy that can snap the ball, and it's a little more complicated than that, but snap the ball and stay in front of him. He works out. Some of the best centers in football go 3rd, 4th round, so a little tricky. Zach Frazier's a really good center as well. I thought maybe his best I thought he played better against better competition, which you can argue there could be a negative in there with that, but I do like that. We played against Texas with 2 stud top 50 picks on Texas defensive line. He played very well against those guys, so that stood out to me. And he played center his whole career, so look for him to play center. Probably goes in the 2nd round. Christian Haynes I like a lot. What I like about him is he's physical. Like you look at him, he's built, he's physical, but he played an outside zone on UConn, and he is nasty getting downfield on those next level blocks. So a guy that has learned outside zone, which a lot of key teams, big time teams use in the NFL, but he has like the physicality is already as well, because that's his build. That's fantastic. So I like the experience he has in that scheme. I like him a lot. There's a few offensive linemen that are going to be on my guys list. I like him a lot. Dominic Pooney I like as well. He's a little tricky because I thought he played better playing at tackle, but you can see he probably has upside on the inside. I guess some of his, if you want to pick out his best specific moments, it's probably inside, but I thought he was a little more consistent on the outside. Not really lacking length, but he's not the lengthiest guy. So again, inside is more likely. I had a hard time where do I rank him? But I think a high probability he's going to play guard. And if a team, we see it a lot these days, like teams have these guys, these versatile guys, and hey, they're listed at guard, but tackle went down. We like him better than the actual backup. Let's put him there because he's already not starting at guard. It's one of those guys that can really help you. But I do like him. He's fun. I've seen moments of him blocking 2. What game was it? I can't remember what game, but he blocked 3 guys in one rep. So he's fun. Christian Mahogany from Boston College can be on my guys list as well, I believe, because I really enjoyed watching him. He's a plug and play at right guard. You can see, I've heard that too. Could he play tackle? I could see it in his game, but I like him at right guard. he's fun. Like, he explodes off the ball, fiery guy. He just wants to hit someone, wants to get downfield and just, he's not trying to, he's laid some guys out, but that's not necessarily what I mean by that. He's just trying to make sure he fires off the ball and he makes contact with somebody. I like his game a lot. You don't hear his name pop up at all. I think he's a second-round pick all day. So, and Pooney's talked about a bit because, he's pre-draft process been good, but probably talked about as a third. I think he's a second-round pick as well. BB from Kansas State, good experience, pretty versatile as well. Powerful blocker. He could whiff sometimes, just trying to be too powerful, putting his head down, and so I didn't love that. That popped up a bit, but he's going to be good on a power scheme. Very solid guard, should play for a long time. And then Georgia center, Cedric Van Pran, I like at 8, and that's one of those guys. Like, again, some of the best centers for drafting the 3rd round, and because they're not super flashy, so you don't take them in round 1 or 2, but you know what you're going to get, something consistent. Come from a good program. It just seems like that type of guy. So, he could end up being a pretty good center right away. So, I like this group of guys. These are clearly my top 8 when it comes to interior offensive line. And there's some guys I just really, really like. Like, something about Barton, something about Haynes, Pooney. These guys I like a lot. So, I'm very excited to see where these guys go on draft weekend here. But that'll do it for this one. I think we're through all the offensive positions now. Again, the tight ends were with the receivers. We did running backs, quarterback. We did all of them. Yeah, so next, defensive line. We'll split up D tackles and pass rushers. I love defense. I'm a defensive guy, so I am excited for that. More film to watch. Draft's almost here. Hopefully you join us for all of our content. It's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.